My view is that Republicans in general, and especially Donald Trump, likes strong men. He likes men in uniform who are capable of showing their power, and he does not like men who end up in jail or who get caught or injured in conflict. So, for example, he's mocked his own country's servicemen on a number of occasions. So, I don't expect a major change, but on the margins, we might expect things to be different. Well, I think largely speaking, the relationship won't change much. There are other more significant priorities the United States has when it comes to foreign and national security policy, Ukraine, Russia being one, the Middle East being another. Curbing or constraining China's rise is obviously a much bigger priority in the medium term as well for both administrations. So I don't anticipate a significant structural shift. What I do expect are changes on the margins. And in that, my view is a bit different than the mainstream view among many, particularly among PTI supporters, that Donald Trump will be a friend for Pakistan's democracy. My view is that Republicans in general, and especially Donald Trump, likes strong men. He likes men in uniform who are capable of showing their power, and he does not like men who end up in jail or who get caught or injured in conflict. So, for example, he's mocked his own country's servicemen on a number of occasions. So, I don't expect a major change, but on the margins, we might expect things to be different. Mainly on the Donald Trump side, I don't think he will reinforce democratic tendencies in Pakistan. In fact, if anything, he may reinforce the authoritarian slide Pakistan has been seeing. See, first we need to understand what are American priorities in Pakistan after the fact that America has left Afghanistan. The first priority, as stated by the State Department on its own website, is to have an insight and control or oversight or engagement with Pakistan on the counter-terror question, which is various groups in Pakistan potentially having the ability to conduct acts of terror abroad, but more specifically, even on the Afghanistan side, engaging with the Pakistani military establishment to have a control or insight into what's going on in Afghanistan. That point has increased in salience, primarily because of the recent issues with Houthi engagement through Pakistan, where 2 Navy SEALs were killed on a mission in the Arabian Sea. And then during the elections, an Afghan citizen planning and plotting a terror attack in Oklahoma through the engagement with ISIS out of Afghanistan. So that's priority number one. Priority number two is insight and control on the topic of what is referred to as strategic stability. In layman terms, strategic stability is related to Pakistan's nuclear program and ballistic missile development program. And the United States wants to ensure that that program does not reach a level where it raises concerns around nuclear proliferation and proliferation of technology, particularly to countries like Iran and North Korea. So structurally speaking, those are the two main priorities that I think will continue to remain a priority for either administration, a Trump or a Kamala Harris administration. On the margins, because of the priorities that each president may have on their own or their administration may have, some things may change. So, for example, Kamala Harris and the Democrats view climate change as not only a national security threat internally to the United States, but a global issue for all of humanity, which means that under a Harris administration, we can expect a deepening of the Pakistan-America relationship on issues related to climate change, climate resiliency, financing of climate infrastructure projects, etc. On the Trump side, a key issue regionally that he has identified is that he wants to take a harder line, an even harder line on China, which means that for Pakistan, the fact that Pakistan has a deep defense and economic relationship with China could become a challenge in the bilateral relationship with Washington, D.C. under a Trump administration, because Trump may take a hard stance, which then infects the dynamic between the United States and Pakistan especially. Well, first we have to think about the fact that if, let's assume, Donald Trump makes a phone call or involves himself in what is going on domestically in Pakistan as it relates to Mr. Khan, are we going to call it another American conspiracy or American intervention in Pakistan's own internal affairs? Number one. Number two, I think while he may tweet about it or say a thing or two about it or ask his people to look into it, I think the broader foreign policy ecosystem and America's national security priorities on the counter-terror side and on the strategic stability and nuclear and missile development program side will mean that his administration's main interlocutor will remain the Pakistani military, and that dependence on the Pakistani military may further increase if, let's say, he allows Israel the space to take wider action against Iran, including its nuclear program. Because if that happens, then Pakistan Army's need from an American strategic standpoint, particularly in the region, will increase. And again, the main interlocutor or the main potential partner for that engagement is the Pakistani military. So I think when the president sits down with his advisors and gets the right input in terms of what is at stake in Pakistan, I think he may realize, much like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden before her, that the main interest is narrow. And if you want to achieve those goals in that narrow national security interest, then the main interlocutor for that is the Pakistani establishment and the Pakistani military.